All right. It is high noon, so I think we are ready to go. Matt, welcome everyone. I'm proud here to be with Matthew Ferrara, who is a longtime friend, and he is a been a longtime speaker, trainer in the real estate industry and other industries. He is a man of many talents. I always learn a lot from Matt when I get to talk with him or get to hear him speak. He was the MC at our event that we had here on Hilton Head last year, 2018 actually, and that went over superbly. So Matt, just give us a quick little background of yourself, and then we will dive right in.
Well, I'm just thrilled to hang out with you, Michael. It's just good to see you and spend some time together. You know, I'm glad we've been friends for all these years. And so, quick background for those of you I haven't met yet. I have spent 30 years in real estate, and mostly in professional development. My job has been to help make all of the people that I can possibly spend time with a little better, whether they're in sales or marketing or leadership. I've had a chance to work in 49 states, and I've also had a chance to work in 28 countries. And one of the cool things that, for me at least, is I have learned as much from all of you as I have hopefully added to the growth and contribution. And so I just get a chance to celebrate good work together, share best practices and stories. I live in Las Vegas, and I'm originally from the Northeast. So one great cool part about that is that I have experienced markets locally and experienced markets globally that are always different. And so I try to bring some of those best practices together for everyone and share those. So just good to hang out with you and glad to have a chance here. I certainly encourage any comments or questions as we go. But maybe let's just jump into some quick thoughts here that I have, for our audience, and the first and most important thing I've been trying to tell everybody in the last 12 weeks, this is really important, is this. We're designed for this. This is what we do in the real estate industry, right? Change is our middle name. I mean, in 30 years, think of how much we have changed in the real estate industry. And by the way, change doesn't happen to us. The real estate industry is, I think, we just grab on to change opportunities and we push them. I mean, I have never been to the announcement of a new technology or a new firm or whatever it is and had real estate professionals not push even beyond the announcement. They say, that's a great technology. I get it, but can it do this and can it do this? Like, we love change in this business. And so I want to just remind everyone that, the change that's happening around us, it's just our middle name. It's what we do. I mean, here's one thing I always say to people. Raise your hand if you've ever had a deal go by the book. And no one ever raises their hand because deals don't go by the book. And that's what we're good at. What we're good at is change and problem solving, right? So we always get everyone back on track. We solve the problems around deals that need to come together. We create win-wins because everyone has to win at the end of it. And so now I look at the period that we're in, whether it's the pandemic or whether it's what's happening with social change in our country. And I just say, this is our natural environment. We're leaders for this. We can help people still achieve their dreams, whether it is going to just be a little later in the year than they planned or a little later in the process than they planned. We also can be great changes in society because that's what we do. Every time we help people buy and sell a home and move their families and move forward with their lives, we're making an important impact in the communities that we serve, in our lives, and in the lives of people who just become neighbors. Like, it's really that simple in so many ways. So I've been trying to tell the industry, like, have great faith and confidence that we have the talent to get through periods like this, and not just get through them, get better as a result of them as well. So for me, that's sort of like always my opening reminder to everyone that I talk to,
Well, Matt, we're hearing all kinds of theories on what kind of recovery we're going to have. Lawrence Yun has been famous for saying we're going to have a V-shaped recovery. Some people are saying check mark. Some people are saying it's going to go like this. But you mentioned a U-shaped recovery, not a U, but a Y-O-U. Can you expound on that? Because I thought that was when we talked about your topic, I said that's going to hit home. So please take us down that path a little bit.
Definitely. So I call it a U-shaped recovery, but as you said, Michael, it's not the letter U, it's Y-O-U. And here's why. I don't really think we have to wait for the economy to do anything because we are the economy. We make the economy by our actions. We have an opportunity to create momentum at any given time. Now, first of all, we know this from history. In the last downturn, the financial-based downturn, not a pandemic-based downturn, in the financial-based downturn, people started companies. People got into real estate in the financial downturn, and people were saying, why are you getting into real estate? They said, because it's a great time to make my contributions. It always starts with you. And what I want to do is just outline for those people watching, what are the elements of a recovery that starts with you taking action, and remind them that this is both personal and professional. Whenever you want to make change in your life personally, you have to create a pathway forward. And whenever you want to reignite, your career or drive it to new levels, you have an opportunity to take action. You don't have to fix everything. You don't have to fix the economy. You don't have to fix the industry. You don't have to solve the health crisis. You don't have to solve the politics. You just have to make a list of what it is you want to do and you can do and take that action. And as the old saying says, you take a few steps forward and the path opens before you. So here's what I recommend. If you're watching now, you're watching the recording, just grab a piece of paper and let me tell you what a U-shaped recovery looks like in a nutshell. First of all, I want you to think about a very simple tool you use every day when you want to get somewhere important in your life. So you want to go somewhere that matters to you. You might get in the car and you program the navigation, right? You program the destination that matters to you. Okay, cool. So doesn't matter. You're going to see friends and family at a restaurant, that matters to you. You're going to work, that matters to you. You're going to the museum, that matters to you. You put the destination in. Now, let's say that you start driving and the navigation says, sorry, there's something in the way. There's traffic, there's a flood, there's construction, who knows what, right? What would it do? It would simply take a detour. It would find another path. Well, that's the mentality I want you to think of right now. Finding another path. A U-shaped recovery is about finding another path. It's not about giving up on your dreams and your destination. It's finding another path. So now think about your navigation. What shape are you on the little screen? You're a triangle, right? You're a little triangle. So what I want you to do on your piece of paper is just draw a big triangle, because we're going to fill in some parts of this triangle to give you all the power you need to take another path. Not give up on the destination, but just go another way. So in our triangle, what are we going to put in the center of it? Well, you already know. We're going to put the word you, Y-O-U. This is you. The triangle represents you moving forward, another route to somewhere that still matters to you, your family, your clients, your community, our nation. It's still important for you to make progress. Okay, so under the word you, in the middle of the triangle, I want you to just write down one component of your destination for this year. I mean, you had a business plan, so maybe you put down a component of what that plan was. Maybe it was the number of hours you wanted to work every week, or how many deals you wanted to do, or how much money you wanted to make, whatever that is. Or maybe it's a personal component. Maybe you wanted to read more books, or improve a skill, or lose 5 pounds, or whatever it was. Just write one or two of your destinations. And just because it seems like they're interrupted right now, we've got to reaffirm them. We've got to say to ourselves, well, they mattered 3 months ago, 4 months ago, 5 months ago. They still matter now. So write them right under the word you. So in the center of the triangle is the word you and the place you want to go this year. Now, maybe you're just starting late. That's all. Don't worry about the calendar. Don't feel the pressure of something artificial called the calendar. All we have is today and tomorrow. We can't look back, but we can look forward. So now we're going to point our triangle in the right direction. So how do we do that? Well, triangle has 3 sides and your recovery has 3 parts. The first part is across the bottom. Well, what would you have in your car that's the most powerful thing? The engine. What's the engine of your recovery, a U-shaped recovery? Well, I want you to write the word across the bottom, attitude. Attitude's your engine. Your attitude will determine the fuel for moving forward. In fact, you've got to fill up your attitude every day. I mean, there's no amount of marketing that can overcome a bad attitude, right? There's no amount of marketing that can move your business forward. There's no technology that can overcome a bad attitude. I mean, I know people with all the systems and tools that their firms provide, and yet they're not making progress because they have an attitude challenge. So what's the first thing we got to do? We got to put good fuel in the engine. So I want you to think about this every day when you wake up. What are you fueling up on? Now, look, you've got to get some information. You've got to, open up your smartphone and find out a little news, a little information, but don't overdo it, because that information on there also comes with some bad information as well. It comes with bad attitude as well. I mean, you log in, you think you're getting the news, you think you're getting a headline that starts out positive, right? Number of virus cases is falling. But then there's always a subheadline. And the subheadline always has the weird provocation. Number of cases falling, but hospitals could be overwhelmed at any given moment. Well, they're not overwhelmed, but they could be. Anything could happen. It could or it might. It's possible. And it's provoking you. Why? Well, because the media only makes money if it provokes you. You're not going to go back and check it 10 times a day if there isn't a possible crisis to avoid. So I need you to be careful, my friends. I need you to be careful. Fill up on good stuff every day. Get some news and then turn that stuff off. Turn off the moaning media and the whining social media and all of that. Disconnect from the negativity so that you can keep the engine running strong. And more importantly, put in some good fuel, right? What's your good fuel every day? Do you recite a prayer? Do you read a poem? Are you reading a chapter? Are you listening to good music? You got to fuel up. You've got to put good stuff in the engine too. Like, that's important, that you be kind to your mind, because it's what gets you out of bed, gets you dressed up, gets you going, allows you to do maybe a little hard work right now, extra hard work in a tough time. So that's number one part, a good engine. Number two part is you're going to take a detour, right? So you need some skills. Well, some of the skills you already have are going to be fine. You're going to need to use those skills. You already know how to drive your car. But you might be going over the desert. You might be going over a mountain. You might be going over a bridge. You might have to turn your car into a boat or an airplane or a submarine or a rocket ship. I don't know what. So you're going to need some skills you have and some skills you need to add. These are what I call disciplines. So you're going to need to take that engine and harness it through your disciplines. Now that you're ready to make progress, you say, well, what do I know how to do? And what do I need to know how to do? So here's what I recommend. Number one, make a list of things you're already good at and use this time to get even better at it. Get epic. Sharpen the saw. Are you good at prospecting? Become the best prospector in the world. Are you good at negotiating? Become the best prospector in your town. Are you good at sphere of influence marketing? Are you good at social media? Are you good at technology? Whatever those things are, you write down a few things you're good at and commit during this time to becoming epic at these things, my friends. And this is the time in which we are definitely going to see two types of future professional. One professional 6 months from now is going to say, well, if I'd only used that time better, if I hadn't just sat around and binged Netflix and cleaned out my wine cellar, I used that time better. That's too late by then. And then the other professional is you. That's the person who says, this isn't time off. This is game on. I'm going to take this time to sharpen my saw to become the absolute best, because I don't know what's going to happen in the future, but I commit to being ready for whatever happens in the future, right? That's important to us. So that's the first discipline. And then the second discipline is this: asking yourself the following question: what new skills will I need for the new future? What new skills? Am I good at attending Zoom meetings, but do I know how to lead them? Am I good at watching videos online, but am I good at making them? Am I good at whatever? It might be some new things that we need to add to our formula right now. And maybe you had planned on doing them this year anyways. Maybe you had said, oh, I was going to learn a new language. I was going to learn about a new market type, property type, price point, whatever it is. Now is the time to speed that up. Bring it from some nebulous time in the future to this week's calendar, this week's learning, this week's new skill. So in order to take a detour, you use your existing skills. Okay, that makes sense. But then you also need new skills. And that's the discipline to try a new detour to get to an important destination. Now, here's the third part of the triangle. So we've got attitude, and on one of the arms of the triangle, we have discipline. Here's the third one. Here's a simple one. Ready? Write this down. Sphere of influence. Or just write down people. Because right now, here's what we're learning through these challenging times. We're learning that the people we're surrounded by matter more than ever. The people we work with matter more than ever. And the people we work for matter more than ever. And it's really important to realize that the people that I'm surrounded by who teach me and support me and motivate me and mentor me, that matters. The people I work around me, so my peers, my manager, my broker, my leaders, my teachers, my trainers, the people at my board of realtors, they matter more than ever because I've got to contribute to them and they've got to contribute to me as well. And if I'm looking around saying, it's not right, I'm not feeling it right now, they're not part of the solution, it's time for me to look at that and to make it better. And the people I work for, let me tell you, they're all Santa Claus right now. They're all making a list and they're checking it twice. And they are deciding, are you naughty or are you nice? Are you part of the solution or are you part of the problem? Do they love hanging out with you? Well, they can't hang out with you in person anymore. So how are they hanging out with you? On social media. Do they love what you're putting on social media? Do you make them better by what you're putting for them on social media? Do they consider it time well spent? Or are they pressing mute or disconnect or stop, unfollow or whatever it is? Like, I think right now more than ever, understanding who we're working with and who we're working for is one of the most important things we can do to adjust our strategy going forward. Our sphere of influence is so vital to us that we don't need millions of people we don't know. We don't need thousands of followers we don't know. We need a couple hundred people who know and love us, that we know and love, and who will not only help us in terms of our business, right? Sure, they'll work with us in the future. Sure, they'll refer us. Sure, there'll be people who can advise us and teach us. But more importantly than that, they can just be good people in our lives. They encourage us as much as we encourage them. I'll answer their phone call as quickly as they'll answer my phone call. I'll respond to their text as fast as they'll respond to my text, and so on. You know, that's what matters right now more than ever, is that the people that are in the car with us are people we want to work with, people we want to get direction from, and people we want to take to a good place as well. And so how we're engaging with our sphere is more critical in the era of social distancing, but it's also more critical in the future when we figure out, well, what am I really doing with my career? Am I just doing transactions and deals, or am I making a difference? And if I'm making a difference, who am I making a difference with, and who am I making a difference for? And I really think that, you know, all of us are looking around in our lives and we're reevaluating our friends, we're reevaluating our peers at our companies. And it's not about being judgmental. It's about being saying, am I doing my part? Am I doing my part to fill their buckets? And also, are they the people I want filling my buckets as well? And when we do all of that, it completes the triangle. It completes the triangle because my attitude isn't just about getting up and doing hard work. It's about getting up and doing hard work for someone and with someone. You see, the triangle, well, I don't know, maybe it's a circle. Bottom line is it's closed. It's a unit by which we move forward. And so I really think that when I think about the recovery and I think about like sparking a recovery, it's the same model I've used. I learned it from my mentor 30 years ago about how I move forward in my life. Whether it's a pandemic or fiscal crisis or September 11th or whatever it was, there's always going to be something in the road. There's always going to be a challenge to overcome. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to figure out a way, if possible, to make sure I'm still going, to make sure that I can still move forward and make progress. So what I would love to just remind everyone is that you don't have to worry for other things to change to get better. If you want things to get better, you can get better. If you want things to change, you can move forward. You can change. And that's where I love this model of the U-shaped recovery, if you will, because it's not about whether it's a V or a W or a check mark or any of those economic terms. It's about getting up every morning and saying to ourselves, progress depends on me. Improvement depends on me. Change in my neighborhood depends on me. Change at work depends on me. And helping my clients make change depends on me. It's what I can do first that matters above all else. And if we all have little bits of this attitude, then we'll all make a little bit of progress and we'll all move to, well, a far, far better place maybe than we've ever been before. So that's the model. If we want to talk a little bit about it, Michael, we could do that. If there are any questions or thoughts from friends here online, please feel free to drop those in the chat room. Happy to do that. I've got some extra tips if we want as well. So anyways, that's, I think, a way we can all make a little progress. Oops, I lost your mic, Mike.
I always do that. We have background noise here. I don't unmute myself.
That's okay.
We're actually in a working office, and it just started pouring. So, but yeah, anybody who has any questions, please drop them in the chat for Matt. One question I have, I heard a lot of what you said. We talk about making ourselves better in what we're already good at, and then learning new skills to get to our destination. I tend to be like this. I'm a little bit ADD. I have so many things that I'm like, let's work on this. Let's work on this. Let's work on this. I have list upon list upon list of things to work on. What sort of advice do you give somebody who just has so much that they want to accomplish that they don't always accomplish a lot?
I'm with you. I'm a guy who loves to generate ways he'd like to grow and things that he could contribute. I mean, this weekend I'm thinking, I want to change my website in this way and start a podcast and write a book. I mean, like always, that's good. That energy comes from a good place. Okay. But let me just say this. What I try to do is collect all the ideas that I have for growth. So maybe you're sitting down saying, I want to study this market. I want to learn more about commercial real estate. I want to get into rentals. I want to move my price point. I want to speak Spanish. Well, you write it all down. Okay. You write it all down. Good. And then what you say to yourself is, okay, when I look at this list, where does my eye go first? Which one attracts me first? Just put a number 1 next to it. And then you quickly number the list. But that's not enough. It's not enough to number the list. Now what you do is next to the number, here's your challenge. You write down the name of someone you think could help you with that. So now I write down the number 1 and I write down Michael, and I write down the number 2 and I write down Susan, and I write down number 3 and so on. And what I do is I try to identify individuals that can help me with that. And now I reach out for some help. I say, hey, I'm trying to learn more about the rental industry. And you're the first person who came to mind. Can you tell me, can we talk for a few minutes about it? And I discover whether that really should be my first thing to improve or not. And if it is, I already know someone who can point me in the right direction. Mm-hmm. And if I'm really good at this, what I then do is I ask them if there's either something I can help them improve upon, and now we're partners in our learning, or if they'd like to go on the journey with me. Because in each one of our offices, we might have some people on the same journey. Let's say we both want to learn how to work with a commercial, right? Maybe I just ask at the next meeting, does anyone else want to try and study this with me? It's so much easier to make some improvement ourselves when we don't try alone, right? When we try with someone else. That's how I've always done it. I've had to commit with someone else. And to tell you the truth, it's actually why I also teach some classes. Because if I want to get better at something, I commit to teaching it. I say, I want to get better at Instagram, so I commit to teaching an office program on Instagram. Now the gauntlet has been thrown down, right? I better learn how to get better at it because I'm going to do that. So give yourself an opportunity to work with others as you learn these things. Mm-hmm.
That's fabulous advice. I clearly need to do that. I have a question. It did, for some reason, not everything's showing up in the live chat here. But Seth actually asks. He says, "Thanks, Matt. How does an agent that's maintained their positive attitude overcome dealing with an agent or client that has not?"
Yeah, that's a great question. So I have 2 simple things. Number 1, remember this: everyone is on a different place in the change curve. Right? Everyone's at a different place navigating here. You might be ahead. They might be ahead. You might be feeling better. They might be feeling worse, whatever it is. So the first and most important thing we need to have right now, more than anything else, is empathy and patience. We have to be able to say, okay, I just am navigating a little bit different pace than they are. And if they're still important to me as friends, as peers, as clients or whatever, I have to have some patience, right? So I want to be able to say, where are they on the curve? Are they still in shock and denial? Are they still in fight or flight? And you've moved beyond that. Now, here's the thing. You start with empathy and patience, but then you go back. It's a U-shaped recovery, right? So what's the key word? You. What are you going to do to help them move along the curve? Do you have to just be a good listener today? Do you have to just maybe say a good word, text them something, text them a picture of a positive thing, a cat, a flower? It's okay. Like, don't overdo it here. But sometimes you have to play a role in their movement along the change curve as well. So patience and empathy is critical right now, right? And then, of course, what will you contribute? Now, the second thing that's really important here as well is to realize that in many ways, people need leaders in their lives now more than ever. So we play that role, but we also have to look for that role as well. So who's leading us? Who's filling our bucket? Who is adding to? And sometimes, again, it's real simple. Like every morning, as part of my morning routine, I listen to powerful music, right? And it comes in two versions. First, when I get in the shower, I try to listen to other speakers who motivate me. I listen to Zig Ziglar and Les Brown and Jim Rohn and all these guys and gals who just get me going, right? That charges me up. And then what I do is I come in and I listen to some positive music, right? So some powerful music that gets me going. And then I say to myself, okay, now how am I going to pass that along? Here's what you do. I let all that energy flow into my Facebook post of the day. And I make sure that my Facebook post is just a moment of time well spent for whoever happens to see it. So, you can't bring someone to happiness. The most you can do is be there for them as they move towards it, but you can give them a push. You can give them a push, and that's how we show up in their lives. So,
yeah, I love your post. And I don't know if you saw my response to your question about podcasting, because I digest most of my content through podcasts. That's the easiest way for me.
Yeah.
So if you're looking for any push in that direction.
Someone in the chat, thank you for that. And someone in the chat room also has a follow-up to this, which is, how do I give a positive picture of the recovery in order to get people off the fence? So here's what I just want to remind everyone. Don't worry about getting them off the fence, but just get them moving. So here's what I do. When I want to talk to clients about moving forward, and look, I'm in the same situation too. I had clients who had conferences coming up in the fall and they've had to put them off, right? So I can't make them get the conference back on the schedule, but here's what I can do. I can play a role in helping them imagine a time when it'll be right to do a conference again. So what you do is you call or you talk to them in some way online and social media. And what you start with is, again, a listening activity. You start by saying, hey, I know at some point earlier this year you had thought about this. And all I want to know is, in your mind, where's your thinking, right? Where's your thinking? So you get them to talk a little bit. And then you ask the following question. When would you know it's right for me to talk to you again about that? When would you know it's right? So you're giving them power so that they can say, listen, as soon as I know that my contract's been renewed for the fall, as soon as I know that my kids are going to go back to college in the fall, as soon as I know that, blah, 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 give them power to tell you what the signal is, and then you write down the signal. You say, okay, so if in September I gave you a follow-up and said it'll be, to check in to see if the kids went back to school, would that be okay? So all you can do is ask for guidance to be a better guide. Ask for guidance to be a better guide. I can assure you right now that if you bombard them with interest rates, low inventory, fear of missing out, don't lose this moment in time, it's not what they need right now. What they need is a friend who's awesome at real estate, not a real estate agent who will be their friend, right? Just be the friend first. Ask for their input and then jot that down so that when the time is right, look, you have your whole career to do a deal with them. You have your whole career. It's okay. You got time. And a deal in September will be just as good as a deal today. Trust me on that. Trust me on that.
Well, that's amazing advice for sure. And I really appreciate, we're getting on half an hour here. I know you said
anything else in the chat room? Any other questions? I don't want to run if there's anything lingering. I'm happy to always, I can always go
try to check all my
sure.
All of my
all of our different feeds, right? I'm looking at 3 different screens myself.
Yeah, it's like
so, yeah, it's awesome.
Let's see. I've got a couple of things. Let me just make sure we don't have anything.
Sure.
Yes, Seth said, nice, you mentioned TNRA and fuel, but where's the red?
I know I'm yellow today. I thought of that as soon as I logged in, right? I'm yellow today because I'm in the desert and we're going to hit 100. And so I figured if there's going to be a blazing sun, it might as well be me on the screen. So as well, but no, I love, of course, I love, of course, the red of ERA. No question about that. So look, let me just leave everyone watching with one quick thought. And that is this. And here's the best way to express the thought. It's by saying thank you to you, Michael, because all around us, we're all stepping up in different ways. We're all contributing in different ways. And we should be so proud to be in this business. We should so proud to be friends and competitors and collaborators and just part of a business that is lucky enough to be involved with people when they're making important change in their lives. And so, I want to say that the most important thing is for people to look around and say, gosh, there's a lot of good help going on for all of us. People are doing what little part that they can and then challenge themselves. What part can I do too? How can I reach out to the Michaels of the world and say, thank you for that, 30 or 40 minutes online, that little opportunity, but what can I do with you? How can I help you? So, talk to each other, reach out to each other, make sure that you're having conversations that say, we're better together than we are trying to fight this on our own, and that this is a fight worth winning, that we all will win, because this is what we do for a living. We create win-win situations out of complex uncertainty for a living. So I know that we're going to be the leaders that we need to be to get us all moving forward.
Those are awesome parting words. I actually came up with just a brief question for you on my own. So sometimes agents are like, they want just tell me what to do.
Yeah.
They want tactics. So if they do nothing else, let's say they don't work on skills. Let's say they just want to try to grow their business during this time, and they're just got the toolbox they still have.
Yeah.
What's the most important thing? I know you mentioned Sphere. I know you mentioned skill building. I know you mentioned, what could they do to make the most effective use of their time right now? Because we have some parts of the country are still locked down.
Yes.
Some parts like us are pretty much back to normal. Some places like you in California are getting up there. Right. But, we still have a variety of people in a variety of situations. What are your thoughts on that, just to end the day?
Simplest thing that I have been doing, so I just always start with me, is I went through my entire address book, database, whatever you want to call it, and I just made sure everyone heard from me. And you know what they heard from me? They didn't hear like, I'm still teaching and you can still hire me. Here's what they heard. They heard two things. Early on, they heard, are you okay? Right? So we've all asked that question, which is good. But then I learned a great question from actually another ERA broker from Patrick Downhauer, who taught me this question. So I'm just going to pass it on. He taught me to ask this question, which is now to ask the following. Is there something I can take off your plate today? Is there something I can take off your plate today? So I would go back to my sphere. I wouldn't worry about anything else. I would make a second, third, fourth one-on-one pass through my sphere of influence to those 200-300 people in my life that have always been there for me and will always be there for me. But now I want to ask a different question. Not just, are you okay? But is there something simple I can take off your plate today? It might be as simple as sending over a pizza for lunch because it's just chaotic and everyone's working from home. And so you need a little help. And it could be as complicated as, oh my gosh, I'm really nervous about my finances. And then you could say, I know a great financial gal. I'm going to call her. I'm going to set up a phone call for you and make sure you're connected, right? I'm going to do that work. So try to take one thing off someone's plate every single day. That'll keep you busy, but it'll also keep you making a difference. Making a difference is what matters more than ever here today.
I agree. We're all learning new things. I'm doing live video to be more comfortable with it.
There you go.
So it's something I'm working on too. So Matt, I really appreciate your time. It was so good to see you again. I know it's been a while. When are you going to be live again?
Well, I don't know that, but I do know that I'm live enough every day with the camera, just like you. I had to suddenly go and learn that as well, and it's just a pleasure to learn with you as well as maybe learn for you. So thanks for doing this, Michael. Kudos to everyone who watched. It's just great to have leaders like Michael stepping up and doing this, pouring into everyone's buckets. It's what we do in this business. So good luck. Stay healthy, stay strong, and of course, keep growing.
Thanks, Matt. Tell your lovely wife we said hey, and we will hopefully see you soon.
Will do. You bet. Bye, everyone.
Bye.